Hi folks, this week's video is about how we look after our teak on Impavidus and how I made an almighty great balls up. I'll see you at the end of the video. I may have made a faux pas, or in technical terms, a balls up. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, as they say. Let's get tidied up. It's still a good 6mm, maybe 7mm, over 1/4 of an inch thick. I may have made a faux pas. A couple of weeks ago I put the extra Victron charger in there. We know they get hot, so I fitted computer fans to them, and the idea was the air gets drawn down through here, so it gets blown up through here. There's a lid on here, and then there's a hole down the back here. You can see, get my hand right down there, and the air comes up, and then there's slots in there, which is behind where our TV normally goes, mounted on this bracket. And I assumed, rightly or wrongly, that there would be enough airflow to keep this area cool. Hindsight is a great thing. There isn't. And the problem is that there's nowhere for the air to come in or out. Now, what I wanted to do is to put an air vent in here, but as I explained to you, this is watertight, these compartments. So I'm going to have a compromise, and I think that compromise is going to be, yeah, I'm not using all 4 of those fans, that's another project, but I bought this grill, and I think what we're going to have to do is fit this grill in here, which will make that look really nice and spiffy, as Mads would say. And the idea then is to fit 2 of these fans behind that, switched in the same way, to get the air to circulate round inside there. That's the idea. Just double check that's going in there.
2 hours later.
6mm, 1/4 of an inch that way. In there, okay, right.
6.5 hours later.
And then so what I did was I marked out the slot that I needed to cut out, and then marked out 4 holes, 1 in each corner. Now I've been using these cone cutters. They've been quite useful on the boat recently. I used the smallest one and put a 12mm hole in the corner, and this allowed me to put a jigsaw blade through the hole and cut the slot. Good. The eagle-eyed among you will notice that I'm still using my 35-year-old Bosch jigsaw. One of them metal clips, look. The moment of truth.
It's your mallet, soft mallet.
Well, it's got to be sprung in, so once those corners just rounding out a little bit more.
You can do that with the sander thing, can't you?
Yeah. So it's supposed to spring in.
Fingers.
Those bits are supposed to spring in, so it's got to be tight. It fits that.
Oh.
So, but it's just the corners.
Get a little detail sander on it.
Okay, so now all we have to do is connect up a couple of fans. You'll remember in that cooling video we showed you the circuit diagram and how to connect up those fans with the two thermostatic switches in parallel. That turned out to be a good idea, as B2B charger number 1 appears to be working quite a bit harder than B2B charger number 2. Anyway, this is how we connected up the two additional fans. Again, everything is in parallel, and therefore if one gets hotter than the other, then all the fans will be switched on. So if one charger is working harder than the other, one of the thermostatic switches fails, or indeed one of the fans fail, the built-in redundancy of running everything in parallel means that it will still get cooling from the other fans. They'll still come on. I'll get rid of all this dust. Even with a vacuum cleaner, it still goes everywhere. Well, there we go. That's in. Fans are in at the back. Two of them, they're wired up to the other two in pair. The heat sensitive switches, as the thermostatic switches, will come on when we charge up. Turn those two fans on. I've just checked that they're okay. I may put a little screw in here, look, just to push that back. It is very tight. And then I've ordered another one to go in there. The air is going to be pushed up through here now, up the back, past the other charger which is out of use, and out of there, and then hopefully I can move the TV to there. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, as they say. There we are. Just got back from the marina office, and got our delivery from Trendyol, which is the Turkish equivalent of eBay. It's not brilliant, but it seems to work. We've ordered one of these, another one of these. We've had the engine on and the battery charging up, etc. Battery's charging up. It works, but it's just not quite enough airflow. I'm hoping that this will make a difference. Let's give it a polish, and that'll slot in pretty nicely. I think what we'll do is we won't screw this one in, we'll cut that so that it spring fits in, so that I can take it out if I need to clean it, or I may put some fly screen on there. The trouble is that fly screen does reduce the free flow area. Hey ho. Right, let's get on with that. So, having marked out the hole, I then used the oscillating multi-tool from Bosch to cut out the hole exactly to size, and it went well. Oh, that's in, and if you can hear, the fans are running and there's quite a bit of air coming out of there. We've moved the TV, and there's a bit of cabling to do for the TV, the aerial, etc. There's got a Blu-ray player in the corner there as well. Got to tidy up those. But yeah, that is done. A bit of polish on here. Just got to get rid of some of these pencil marks and that we didn't realise were behind the telly. But yeah, that's it, done. Job's a good one. Perfect. So just before we show you how we deal with our teak and keep it looking so good, I thought I'd explain a little bit about teak and why we do what we do. The teak on our cockpit is quarter sawn. It's not plain sawn or rift sawn. This makes the timber quite hard wearing, but it does open up the pores. This is plain sawn oak, and this is rift sawn mahogany. And this is quarter sawn teak, and you can see that the veins run across the wood. You quite often see that as the teak catches the sunlight. Anyway, our teak is what they call blonde teak here in the UK. It looks a little bit like Iroko, which is what's called African teak around the rest of the world. In different parts of the world, and indeed in different parts of the country, these different woods are all assumed to be teak, although they are from the teak family. Traditional Burmese teak or Brazilian teak from large mature trees is virtually non-existent these days, due to unsustainable logging in the countries in which it was produced. Quarter sawn timber has a good strong solid surface. However, quarter sawn timber does have voids or pores exposed in the surface, and this can lead to dirt and dust and muck being ingrained, and you can't fill these with a sanding sealer like you would on a piece of furniture, as the wood needs to breathe when it's outside. As the timber expands and contracts, it naturally tries to breathe, and if you seal the surface, it will start to form cracks. That's why we oil our teak and not seal it up with varnish or some kind of epoxy sealer. You might think that teak is quite a dense hardwood. Well, actually it's not that dense. It's down there with cherry and pine. It's not particularly hard or dense at all, and that's because of these voids or vessels or pores within the wood. The marine environment isn't particularly kind to teak, and yes, salt water will help to clean it, but those of you who have teak decks in the northern hemisphere will know they quite often go green, and it's this that destroys them. We would suggest that teak needs to be cared for with natural products and not chemicals, and don't be afraid to give it a little sanding now and then. After all, it's expensive stuff, teak. It doesn't just grow on trees, you know. As we mentioned in the last video, we're starting to do some boat maintenance work now, and it's been about 3 years since we did our last lot, which was back in Gaeta in Italy. So we clean the teak just gently, very gently, with a mild soap and a scrubbing brush, and leave it to dry for a couple of days, and then very gently sand it. Now we're using 120 grit on my Makita. It's got an adjustable speed on it, so you can make it very, very light, and you can see I've just taken the surface off, and that allows the oil to penetrate. This piece here hasn't been done yet. You can see, I'll show you that in a minute, and that one there has had its first coat day and a half ago. So it got 2 coats all the way around, including the cockpit table, which is workbench at the moment, and the companionway and the doors. Now they've fared pretty well, and that's mainly because we've had the canopy and the bimini up. So the oil, although we had 2 coats on there, it hasn't faded and gone white. There's nothing wrong with white teak. I quite like it on the floor. It's okay, but the teak gets dry, and when water sits on it, it soaks in, and the oil helps to make that bead and disappear. So I'm going to finish off this little bit here, and I'll show you what it's like when I've done. And I'm just finishing off these edges by hand, just rather than hit them with the sander. Some bits there which are pretty difficult to get at, but you can get right in the corners by folding the sandpaper over. Now, anticipating comments, there is some old chap somewhere who was a midshipman when Nelson was a cabin boy, who's going to tell you, oh, you should never ever sand teak, blah 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 blah. Well, to him I just say one word, well, two words: holy stone. They've been rubbing down teak decks and treating them accordingly with holy stones and sand for about 600 years. So there is plastic underneath them. When they go through, you replace them. That's how it works. But you'll get 15-20 years out of a decent teak deck, as long as it's not got screws in it. If it's got screws holding the teak down, then that's another issue. That's an issue you don't get with modern boats, but you do get with some of the older ones. And if you don't think screws through the deck is that bad, go and watch Mads on Sail Life and see what happened to his decks. Mainly because water got into the decks through the screw holes and some of the cleats and fittings and that. So yeah, if you're going to have a deck, make sure the teak is bonded, or don't have teak. That's the other thing, because it's a pain in the backside. You have to clean it, you have to oil it, it holds the heat during the day, and then at night when you really want to be nice and cool, it gives up all its heat back into your boat. So have it on the floor in the cockpit, but don't have it on the decks. Ain't that right, missus? Nearly done. Got all the floor to do, got loads to do, table to do. Won't take long though. Well, it's nearly beer o'clock, and therefore I have to stop work, and my able assistant then has to do the teak oiling.
You hate painting, you hate oiling.
I am hanging wallpaper. Whoever invented wallpaper should be hung like wallpaper. No, I do hate painting. But it's quite satisfying doing teak oiling, because, you know, you see the finished job, and that is looking really good. You missed a bit over there, darling. That's it, you got it now, yeah, that's it.
No, that's bad sanding, that bit.
Is it? I'll sack the sanding, Blake. So you can see the difference there now. That's just sanded. That's unsanded. That's the wife. And the trick is to get that as even as you possibly can. Not that I'm telling you how to do it, darling, but you know.
Of course not.
So even coats, and when you're doing your sanding, again, don't go mad. Just nice and gently, even coats. Don't worry about going over the Sikaflex. Well, these aren't actually Sikaflex, but don't worry about going over the black. You don't want to hollow out the teak. You want to keep it nice and even. Now, as you know, we've done these. This is year 8 for this boat, and they've been done once at Gator. We sanded them, I think.
In Gator, yeah, we didn't do them last year. I needed the table.
No.
Because you got ill.
Yeah. And I think we've oiled them once without sanding them.
In Port Solent.
In Port Solent, yeah.
Before we left, yeah.
Yeah, just to protect them. So there you go. We haven't worn through the teak. You can see, I'll show you there, look. It's still a good 6mm, maybe 7mm, over 1/4 of an inch thick. Haven't worn it out. And it still looks the mutt's nuts. There we go. Right, I better go and open a beer. or I'll be in trouble. Don't worry if your teak appears to come up a little blotchy at first. That's not unusual. Some bits of teak dry out quicker than others or soak the oil in quicker. It'll come out alright in the end. There we are. Just been to look at a problem on another boat for someone. Teak looks okay. That's just had one coat. You can see the difference there between the floor. I know it's got our green LED lights on, and the teak on this side. When I get to the end, I'm going to get wet, aren't I?
You're going to fall in.
I'll fall in. This bit is quite warm, but I guess that's because we use it for swimming and diving and that. But it's still 5mm thick. That bit in there, the bottom of that step, is like 8mm thick.
Well, it doesn't ever get used, does it?
No, and that's come up really nice as well. So, still first coat, just really light, and it's coming up gorgeous, and it will protect it from next summer's
activities,
salt water and sunshine and what have you. And you remember, there's 4 sections of teak there and 4 under my butt that we took right out, and we cut the holes for the davits. I'll put a link in the description to that video. I think there's 2 when we fitted the davits, and I cut all the teak out, 4 bands of it, cut a big hole in there, put a big piece of ply up inside, fiberglass that in, drilled the holes. Seems like ages ago now.
Well, it was. It's nearly 5 years ago.
It's nearly 6 though.
No, 5 years.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hey ho. But yeah, I mean, the rebuilds come up lovely, and it's lasted, and you can't see the join. Just like me, can't see the join now.
And I haven't been sitting around watching. I'm cleaning downstairs under all the bilges, get all the dust out, and the dog hairs. Yes, I'm still finding them.
Yeah, Oscar's gone, but he's still here. Well, there we go. It's all finished. May give it another coat later in the year, but for now, that's it. Job's done. It's a good one. In fact, Madam likes it so much, she's been out here reading her book. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We're now in our winter mooring. We'll be going out every now and then and doing a bit of sailing, but for now we're going to be doing lots of maintenance, and I've got a couple of boats to look after this winter, so we'll be doing the maintenance on them. One of them is a catamaran. One has Yanmar engines, so we'll be doing a bit on Yanmar engines, and there's also some solar to fit and some other bits and pieces, so stay tuned. Don't forget to give us a like, share with your friends, and hit that bell at the bottom, because otherwise YouTube have decided they're going to unsubscribe you. Yeah, don't know why. We're hoping to make 10,000 subscribers by Christmas, so please help us make that happen. And next week it won't be just my ugly mug. Hopefully Cindy will be here as well. Sail safe guys. Bye for now.